Get your pencil paper out. We're going to run through about 6 or 8 of the main diseases very quickly here. This is going to be a revelation for you. And I can go fast because now you know more than doctors. You've now become the most dangerous people in America. Let's see, we have what, about 60 or so people in here. And 57 people signed the Declaration of Independence and started the revolution against England. Changed the world, those 57 people. Now they committed their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, those 57 people. It doesn't take much to win this battle, but we're going to have to be proactive. We can't hope and pray that the doctors are going to be the good guys here. We can't hope and pray. Let's see, I can tell by looking at you, but just to show of hands, how many of you ladies are still in the childbearing years? Okay, a good third of you, anyway. Maybe 2/3 of the women here in the room. So I want to spend 2 minutes on birth defects. Every birth defect you can name me, and 10 times that many you can't, are all caused by nutritional deficiencies of the embryo. There's not a single genetic birth defect. We've eliminated all birth defects in animals by simply giving the females preconception nutrition, perfect preconception nutrition prior to conception. Because all we had to do was give them good nutrition before they conceive. We eliminated all birth defects. I've been doing that in humans for 35 years. Okay? It works like a charm. All the diseases you think of are genetic in humans are not. They're just deficiencies of the embryo. Now, do you know how many different specialties we'd wipe out if there wasn't another baby born with a birth defect? Oh my gosh. All these kids with special needs. All these different agencies raising money to find research for the cure. Ooh. We're going to look quickly at obesity because we're the #1 obese nation in the world. Why are we the #1 obese nation in the world? Because doctors and the government has no idea what causes it. And I'm here to tell you, we actually have a book out there called Hell's Kitchen. The subtitle is The Cause, Prevention, and Cure of Obesity. Nobody else can claim that they know that. Because if they did, we would be the #1 obese nation in the world. Okay? So, it's not a disease of excess. The reason why we're in such trouble with obesity is it's not a disease of excess, and that's how the government and the doctors treat it. It's a disease of excess. You need more exercise. You need less. But that's not what the problem is. It's a nutritional deficiency disease. Not a calorie deficiency, but a nutrition deficiency. And I'll show you that. I'll prove that to you in a second. Just show you that for remembrance, right? Remember that one. Now, according to experts, 70% of our kids under the age of 12 are overweight, and 40% of our kids under the age of 12 are obese, which is 30 pounds over their ideal weight for their height. And it has nothing to do with too much screen time, lack of exercise, or eating too much. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's a simple nutritional deficiency. But you see, doctors would rather give you a bone marrow transplant when you have iron deficiency anemia than iron. You understand? Well, we've got the technology. We've got to use the technology. Let's do lap banding. That'll fix it. Now, this is one of my favorite obesity slides. This looks at obesity in adults. In 1980, we only had 15% Americans obese. Between 1900 and 1980, it was like 12%, 15%, 12%, 15%. It never really rose above 15% for 80 years. Boy, in here it just started going up like crazy. By 2000, 20 years later, it doubled, more than doubled. What happened? Well, right here, they took all the fat out of our diet. It's hard to find fat. I mean, everything is no fat, low fat, or fat-free. And we're getting fat. Then, anybody here ever raise livestock? Anybody fatten cattle or sheep or pigs? Now, do you feed them ice cream and lard and eggs to fatten them up? Do you feed them whole grains to fatten them up classically? And the answer is yes. You feed them whole grains. 99% of farmers feed their cattle and pigs and sheep and chickens whole grains to fatten them up. Now wait a minute, didn't they tell you to eat whole grains? Huh, let's have a look at that. Now you see, this is what you're getting following the doctor's instructions: no fat and eating whole grains, exercising. Now if the doctors were correct, the chart should look like that. If the government was correct, the chart should look like that. But following their directions for 20 plus 12 years is 32 years. Uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem here. Now, one of my favorite obesity slides is that of Rosalie Bradford. She had 2 Guinness World Book of Records for obesity. Number one, she's the heaviest woman ever officially weighed by the Guinness World Book of Records. She weighed 1,242 pounds, 1,242 pounds. You went on 2 dates with Rosalie, you had a ton of fun. Do the math. Now, she also had her second Guinness World Book of Records. She lost the most weight, 736 pounds, between 1987 and 1994. This is not lose 10, gain 5, lose 10, gain 5 or kind of thing. This is lose, 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 because they did a lap banding on her and they put her on a 500-calorie diet, and she, over those years, she lost 736 pounds. That's like 3 people. Okay? And then she died, because fat is not the problem. Fat is just a symptom, just like cholesterol is not the problem. Now, what does it tell you? In 1980, it was 15%. It's almost gone up 300%. So what's the problem here? That's because they've told you to get fat. Eat whole grains, exercise, don't take vitamins and minerals. Avoid fat, and you get fat. I mean, if you're not careful, you could wind up in Ruth's Chris Steakhouse as the meal instead of the eater. No end in sight for the obesity epidemic. Why is that? Because there's 80 million baby boomers come along who eat whole grains, exercise, and don't take vitamins and minerals. I'm going to give you 3 clues, and then I'm going to give you the answer. Don't forget the book, Hell's Kitchen. This gal here, Natalie Hayhurst from Terre Haute, Indiana, was driven to eat light bulbs. Now, they say it's a rare condition, but it's not a rare condition. This happens several million times a day in America. She prefers wood, paper products, cardboard, sticks. She likes rocks, dirt. She eats Diet Coke cans. She won't eat classic Coke cans, only Diet Coke cans. She's eaten little magnets out of shower curtains. She loves plastic bottles and toys. I think that's why McDonald's took the toy out of the Happy Meal. So what is this condition? Well, you can call it pica, the munchies. You can call it, you know, that kind of stuff. But she has that condition because she's minerally deficient. Pregnant women get the same thing. They eat weird stuff. I mean, pregnant women are classic for eating weird stuff. You know, back when your grandmother was out living out in the rural areas, she had pregnancy, she went out and eat dirt. Fortunately, there's no calories in dirt, right? How many ladies heard your grandma used to eat dirt when she was pregnant? Yeah, I mean, grandmas used to do that. We live in the 17th floor of an apartment building now in the inner city where there's no trees even. You start eating the Tootsie Rolls out of the kitty litter box because you're hungry for weird stuff when you're minerally deficient. If you own a cat with a kitty litter box, you know what I'm talking about. So I want you to get the book, Hell's Kitchen, because that's going to give you the details of when and how, and gives you the whole story of the electricity and how it made us fat. Loyola School of Medicine, Chicago. Oh, that's the Russian version again. Exercise won't cure obesity, because when you exercise, you're sweating, you're replacing your sweat with water, you're sweating out of your minerals, and guess what? You get hungrier. If you're skinny, you stay skinny. If you're fat, you get fatter when you exercise. As a result, when they looked at that data, everybody agreed that they were correct. So it was a cover article in August of 2009, 8 months later, the myth about exercise, it won't make you lose weight. Anybody here ever raise horses or work with horses? Raise your hand. Okay, what do you call when a horse chews on the fence? Cribbing, very good. And how do you get rid of cribbing in a horse? You can shoot him in the head, that'll stop it, but I mean, what else can you do to get a horse to stop cribbing?
Salt.
What?
Salt.
Yeah, you give them a trace mineral salt block, or you give them bone meal or some minerals, and they'll stop within 3 to 5 days, they'll stop chewing on the fence. Well, those of you who've never seen cribbing, this is a stall in a barn in a horse and buggy Amish farm in Switzerland County, Indiana, in the southeastern corner of Indiana. And I don't even need to look at the horse or do tests on them. I just look at the rails in that stall in the barn, and I can see that that horse is minerally deficient. Now, it's called cribbing in animals, it's called the munchies in humans. Now, it's socially unacceptable. It's socially unacceptable for your little kids to eat the neighbor's furniture when you visit. And that's where we developed the custom. That's where we developed the custom of taking and giving them cookies and drinks. They all have calories in it, so so we came up with a program that works every time. Obviously, you have to take the 90 essential nutrients per body weight, 1 healthy start pack for 100 pounds of body weight per month. And then if you're a diabetic, we like you to throw in, and you don't have to be a diabetic, but certainly a diabetic. You could also throw this in if you're not a diabetic. The SlenderFX weight management system. It has some gluten-free, water-soluble fiber, so you feel satiated. It's got a meal replacer. You can either make it into a cold shake or an ice cream. You make it with water, and it has 80 calories and no sugar in it. Great for diabetics. Also has some accelerators here to speed up the weight loss. But the real secret sauce for weight loss is this one. ASAP, put a dropper full of this under your tongue 30 minutes before each meal. And this replaces the HCG diet. How many of you heard of the HCG diet? Okay. That requires injections. You got to do this whole thing with the doctor, right? Prescription stuff. Well, this is the raw material for your body to make your own HCG. You put this under your tongue 30 minutes before each meal, and you will lose weight and keep it off. ASAP, ASAP, as slim as possible, as soon as possible. I'll show you two examples, one boy, one girl. This is Jerry from Salt Lake City. He'd been with us for 12 years at this point, and he had a bread belly. Now, he'd been taking the 90 cents of nutrients, didn't have any health problems, but he had a bread belly. How many of you have heard of a beer belly? Raise your hand. Okay, sure. Well, a good German knows that beer is liquid bread. Every German knows that beer is liquid bread. Why? Because the ingredients in beer and the ingredients in bread are exactly the same. The only difference between bread and beer is one is fermented and the other one is baked. The same ingredients. Same ingredients, only baking and fermentation is just difference in preparation. It's the same stuff. So it shouldn't be too hard for you to understand how somebody who eats bread can get a bread belly, just like people who drink beer get a beer belly. All right? So all we added to his program, he took 2 healthy start packs. He drank to the Rebound because he's a little bit of a farmer. His wife Judy loved to make bread. He had bread for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime snack. Make his wife happy. Support his wife's hobby of making bread, organically grown, multigrain, you know the drill. So we added the ASAP. 45 days he loses 50 pounds, primarily from his belly, okay? Because this product will preferentially move your metabolism to preferentially burn belly fat. And you can do crunches, you can do all that kind of stuff. You can lose 50 pounds, you'll lose muscle before you lose belly fat. I see a lot of people shaking their heads, yes, right? If you've ever tried to lose belly fat, it's very difficult. But this stuff will do it. Now I'll show you another one here. You already know this person, the little red-headed gal, Brandy, who introduced me. She's 5'2", and in this picture, she weighed 158 pounds. 1/3 of her body weight was fat. Okay, I apologize for this being out of focus, but this came off of her driver's license with a phone camera. But at any rate, so she'd been with us for about 8 years at this point. And she'd been using her products. So her husband is a heavy equipment driver, and he liked bread. So she made bread for him, and what was ever left over, she'd eat it, right? Rather than let it go away, she ate it. And so we put her on the Rebound, because she was drinking 2 liters of Pepsi a day, only 5'2", 2 liters of Pepsi a day. And so we put her on Rebound instead of the Pepsi, and then she lost, I don't know, 20-something pounds, and she still needed to lose another 30, so she got on the ASAP, and in a month's time, she got down to 106 pounds, 158 to 106. Healthy Start Pack, Rebound, and ASAP. Now, that was, I think she got down to this 106 pounds in January of this year. She's still 106 pounds. You'll keep your weight off as long as you're taking in the minerals appropriate for your body weight, because you don't have the munchies anymore. Everybody else, you can lose weight. There's a million different ways to lose weight, but you always gain it back because you haven't solved the problem of mineral deficiency. You get the picture? Okay, now I can move on here. Oh, also I should do this one here. I forgot. Tim's here. One of the guys who helped register tonight, Tim, he lost 44.5 pounds and 8 inches in waist in just 60 days on the program. He's been with us for a while, but the ASAP, and he's been able to keep it off. And he was telling me he was hiking up in the mountains, and because he lost that 45 pounds, he did pretty good. Okay, how many have ever heard of Alzheimer's disease? Raise your hand. Okay, Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease. Alzheimer's disease is a physician-caused disease. Didn't exist 40 years ago, even by another name. Today, it's the number 4 cause of death in Americans over the age of 65. So it goes from 0 40 years ago, now it's the number 4 cause of death. That's caused by physicians. I'll tell you how. What is Alzheimer's disease? Well, Alzheimer's disease is a going away of the myelin. It's the white matter of the brain. How many of you heard of myelin? Most of you younger people should know myelin is the white matter of the brain, insulation material. And when it goes away, the naked nerve fibers all tangle up. It's one of the diagnostic features of Alzheimer's disease. At autopsy, you get these nerve tangles. You've probably all read about nerve tangles. And this is caused by the myelin going away. Well, myelin makes up 75% of your brain weight. The gray matter of your brain, the thinking part, the memory part, the problem-solving part of your brain, it only makes up 2% of your brain weight. It's like 2 millimeters of this little covering of the white matter. The white matter makes up 75% of your brain weight. Well, this myelin, this white matter of the brain that makes up 75% of your brain weight, is 100% cholesterol. So you go on a cholesterol-restricted diet, you take cholesterol-lowering drugs, bam, you have Alzheimer's disease. Because you can't maintain the white matter of your brain anymore. You're giving up all the raw materials, you're taking drugs to drive your cholesterol down because doctors said it would make you live longer. Let's have a look. Alzheimer's, tidal wave feared. Why is that? There's 80 million baby boomers coming along. They'll listen to doctors, lower their cholesterol with diet and drugs. These came out in 2009. Alzheimer's on a relentless upward trajectory. Kind of reminds me of that obesity chart. Following the doctor's instructions going this way. Why? Because numbers look particularly grim for baby boomers who follow the doctor's instructions. Exercise, drink plenty of water, don't eat fat, eat plenty of whole grains. Oh yeah, use oils instead of lard and dairy and eggs, like George Francis. Oh, you're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff now. A mother and son share the bonds of love, Alzheimer's disease, and the same doctor who lowered their cholesterol. Now, any Mormons in here tonight? Any Mormons? Any Mormons? Any Mormons? Oh, I'm disappointed. No Mormons. Okay. Any Seventh-day Adventists? Any? Okay. Now, the reason why I'm asking that question is 2004, Johns Hopkins School of Medicine came out with a wonderful study on Alzheimer's disease. They went to Cache County, Utah. And they chose Cache County, Utah. I mean, you could get 5,000 people for a study in Baltimore, Maryland, right? So why did they go all the way out to Cache County, Utah? Well, that's because in Cache County, Utah, they're extremely religious Mormons. They're almost like Orthodox Jewish people when it comes to their diet. They actually have a book called The Words of Wisdom, which supplements the Book of Mormon, and it tells them what to eat, what not to eat, right? And so all of these people in Cache County, Utah, the oldest living people in America, they live to be 87. Seventh-day Adventists live to be 85. The Mormons as a group live to be 85, but the Mormons in Cache County, Utah live to be 87. They're all farmers, very religious farmers with a background from Scotland. They all come, just all their culture comes from Scotland. So culture the same genetic pool, same diet, their same profession, live in the same county, same everything. Same diet. It was really a great study. I mean, it was like laboratory rats, right? It was just perfect. And what they did was take 5,000 of these people over the age of 65. They gave half of them a couple of vitamins, and the other half they gave a sugar pill. It was a blind study. Nobody knew who was getting what. Well, at the end of the study, those getting the vitamins reduced their risk of Alzheimer's disease by 78%. Those getting the sugar pill increased their Alzheimer's disease risk by 78%. But you have to remember, the diet was the basic thing, okay? Now in the animal industry, we give them the perfect diet, very similar to the Mormon diet and the Jewish diet and the Seventh-day Adventist diet, but we also add all 90 essential nutrients. We eliminate Alzheimer's disease in animals by 100%. So now you know Alzheimer's disease is not genetic. There's no way it could be genetic if you can reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease by 78% just by taking a couple of vitamins and a particular diet. It's not genetic in any way, shape, or form. Again, doctors are wrong because their knowledge is very constricted. They have a very narrow range of training. They know little or nothing. Every time they utter the word nutrition or give you nutritional advice, they should be put in jail as a felon. That would stop them from killing people. If they say the first two letters of the word nutrition, they should be put in jail. You're in jail, put the cuffs on them. Now, I'll give you an example. This is Ray McGregor from Charlotte, North Carolina. His sister, who's one of our associates, one of our distributors, 3 years ago called me and said her brother 8 years earlier had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Very severe, very rapidly advancing. The doctors tried all these drugs that they say they can help with dementia, no help. So she took him over the 8-year period before she called me to 3 neurological clinics, and then she took him to the medical school 2 weeks before she called me, and went to the Department of Neurology at the medical school there in North Carolina and said, look, I'm demanding that the head of the Department of Neurology examine my brother, which he did. Said, look, this guy, he's curled up on the floor. He's being fed through a G-tube. There's nothing we can do. Drugs aren't going to help him. Love's not going to help him. Money's not going to help him. Put him in a hospice. If you're going to do that, put him in the one that I own, right? Oh, he didn't say that, but I just threw that in. Put him in a hospice, what he said. So she calls me. So there's 4 different dementias. There's vascular dementia, which used to be called senile dementia. There's nothing wrong with your brain when you have senile dementia or vascular dementia. It's actually a plugging of the arteries in your brain, just like you get coronary arteries that plug. They can plug here, can plug there, right? And then there's Korsakoff syndrome, which is a deficiency of a single vitamin. It was discovered 300 years ago, set in the year 1712 by a Japanese naval surgeon. And then there's Wernicke-Korsakoff's, which is Korsakoff syndrome, that deficiency of that vitamin, and MS, multiple sclerosis, mixed in together. And then there's Alzheimer's disease. So here's what I told her to do. I said, look, we're going to treat him for all 4. And I do this literally 1,000 times a year. It always works out. So we're going to try this in your brother too. We gave him 2 healthy start packs. He weighed 185 pounds, so we gave him 2 healthy start packs. Got him off all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no oils, which is difficult because what are they feeding him through his G-tube? Ensure, which is all corn oil. It's easy to get through the tube and just count the calories, and that's why they made it out of corn oil. They don't consider what it does for the patient or what it does to the patient, right? Ensure's the worst. I wouldn't give Ensure to a communist. Okay, it's bad stuff. So 2 healthy start packs per month, none of the bad stuff. Now, for the vascular dementia, I threw in 3 twice a day of the ultimate daily tablets, which are designed to get blood flow through blood arteries and support healthy blood pressure and so on. Then for the Korsakoff syndrome, I gave him 3 de-stress capsules twice a day. It's 2 bottles a month. It has the vitamins in it that are missing when you have Korsakoff syndrome. And then for Wernicke-Korsakoff's, I added selenium to it, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month to deal with the lesions of the MS, which you can get rid of those and MS goes away. And then for the Alzheimer's disease, I threw in 12 eggs a day to rebuild the myelin in the brain because the cholesterol's gone in his brain, so I've got to ramp up his cholesterol, give him 12 eggs a day, and 3 of our, what we call Smart FX 3 times a day, that's 3 bottles a month. Ultimate daily tablets, and then the last one is Smart FX, 3 of those, like Get Smart, okay? 3 of those 3 times a day, 3 bottles a month, and that's the raw materials for your brain to make the neurotransmitters for memory. Duh. So she calls me in 2 weeks. I'm going to give you an exact quote of what she called me. Actually, it was a week. Okay, I'm going to give you the exact quote. She calls me on the radio, so I have the disc. I'm even going to quote the utterances she made. She calls me in 2 weeks and she says, "He's cured! Ha, ha, he's cured!" Now, Ray and his wife love me because he was that close to death. Put him in a hospice, he'd have been dead in 2 weeks. Okay? Now, he didn't have Alzheimer's disease like all those doctors said. He had Korsakoff syndrome, which is curable in 2 weeks by giving him the vitamin. Remember, I hedged my bet and I've treated him for all 4, and it paid off for Ray. I do this 1,000 times a year, maybe more than that, and I don't even know it. But those are the ones I know about. I do have to tell you that sugar aggravates the deficiency of that vitamin. Sugar aggravates the deficiency of that vitamin, so I thought this was kind of profound. And this came out in February of 2012, this year. High calories from sugar linked to mild memory loss in elderly. If you're deficient in that vitamin, you're taking lots of sugar, juices and fruit and molasses and honey and agave syrup and soft drinks and desserts and candy bars. Guess what? Pie and all. You're going to get dementia. But it's not Alzheimer's disease. It's this Korsakoff syndrome or Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Sugar and oil is the worst possible thing you can give to anybody with a brain problem, particularly the elderly, right? The same formula works also on Parkinson's disease, MS, multiple sclerosis, as I already mentioned, and also Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. Thousands of these people a year were able to reverse from their disease. Usually takes 60, 90 days. I'm very famous in Western Canada for this. Some very wealthy guys had Parkinson's disease, and we went back there 3 months after we got them going. Their wives were very, I mean, they made them stick to the thing. They ground up everything, put it with a turkey basing syringe through their G-tubes. Went back in 3 months. One of them is, he comes to all our meetings, and he's a very wealthy guy, and had put all his employees on our program. His name is David Dietrichs. He had all these patents for quick release and quick coupling tractor equipment. And he comes up to me and says, "Hi, Doc. I really don't remember you, but you're the guy that saved me. I'm the one that used to have Parkinson's disease, and he was a vegetable when I first met him." And now he's perfectly healthy in just 3 months. And he'd been getting worse and worse and worse for 12 years. You're very dangerous now, because now you know. Okay, arthritis.